The Mayor's already acknowledged the country that we're on. It's Darug and Gundungurra country. It normally looks like that when it's wet. It doesn't always look like that. This is a country that is very much been shaped by fire. It's been shaped by cold temperature burns. I'm not an expert on that. I can really recommend Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe if you want to know more about it. But it would be pretty remiss of me not to start here, because this is probably one of the principal reasons that we deal with fire risk. So just an overview of the presentation. We're talking about disaster risk management today. There's going to be one huge caveat on that, and I'll explain that a bit more. We're going to look back at 2019. Wasn't a great year. We're going to then start talking about some of the solutions. We'll talk about the grant that we received. I'm going to give a brief overview of what some of the other speakers are going to talk to you about as well. So risk in context, and this is the caveat. It's all about protecting people first. Secondary to that would be the protection of property. So today when we talk about installing bushfire sprinkler systems, it has to be understood that these systems are not intended to increase the risk to people in a bushfire. We don't want people to put a bushfire sprinkler system on their house and hang around to the last possible minute to turn it on. That would be increasing the risk, and in my mind that would be adding to the disaster. At the moment there's a big technology gap here, and that's about how do you turn a system on, when do you turn a system on. We don't want to do it at the last minute. Do we do it remotely? I don't have all of the answers today. We still need to do a lot of thinking about it. And also just wanted to note the evidence base is really limited. This is a really new area. The science is not strong. You know, Alan is probably one of few researchers. Alan Green is one of few researchers in the space. There's one or two local plumbers that have installed systems that kind of really get it. Thank you all for coming today and contributing to that, and hopefully from this, you know, we learn more and more and we can start delivering better systems. So this is 1st of December 2019. It had been pretty dry, and we went out to Anvil Rock. We were trying to establish a Christmas tradition with our son. So this is the fire burning in the Wollongong. I understand that this fire was caused by a lightning bolt which struck an airfield, an abandoned airfield, and it was the biggest single fire caused by a single ignition source in our history. This fire burnt out of control for weeks and weeks and weeks. So 2 weeks later, this is a view outside my office. I'm now looking over towards Mount Irvine, Bell, and the fire's getting pretty close. Everyone's getting pretty nervous. This is Blackheath. We went from fires at Christmas time, the Indian Ocean dipole changed, and you know, suddenly on the 10th of February, the drought broke. We had 400 mil of rain over that weekend, crazy weekend. We literally went from managing fire risk straight into managing landslides and also COVID at the same time, if you recall. So this is one of my client's properties, which is still like this today. We're still finding a solution to it. He still doesn't have access to his house. We're getting closer. We're going to build a bridge across it. Pretty horrific cost for an individual to bear. This is me making the most of the burnt out world that we lived in. So out on Ridgewell Road, which got absolutely smashed by the fires. So anyway, from all of that, being an engineer and being solutions focused, thought, hang on a minute, we've got to try and do something to build our resilience here. We can't just sit back and do nothing. It was a slightly uncomfortable position for me because this wasn't my space. I didn't know who was doing something else in the space, but fortunately I knew Liz, who was also one of the reasons we moved to Blackheath 12 years ago, because we knew there was a permaculture community. So we started a conversation about it. What do we do? And the conversations grew. At the same time, working with Blue Mountain City Council, we got a different grant altogether. This is a fantastic project. We connected 10 hectares of urban catchment with the dam at Blackheath Golf Course. So this dam was pretty much dry in 2019. It was used heavily by the aerial firefighting appliances. Our local fire brigade had gone and turned on all of the fire hydrants in Blackheath to let water fill up the dam again so they could carry on using it. So kind of crazy when you think about it. We get water from Cascades, the water gets pumped to Blackheath, they open the hydrants, they fill up this dam. It was all really, frankly, out of control. I think Andrew Bovis will also tell you later how perilously close we got to running out of water altogether. Anyway, fantastic project. It solved a drainage problem which was causing severe flood damage to the golf course. It's increased the certainty of supply to the golf course. They've got more water to irrigate when they need it. There'll be more water for firefighting when they need it. Also, some blue sky thinking, which started the conversation with Liz, was trying to work out, could we strategically target certain areas within Blackheath? For example, this is Pope's Glen, which last burnt in 1953, and the fire had come right up Pope's Glen this time as well. The idea for a fire curtain there was to strategically cut off Blackheath. That's Rodriguez Street there. Fire came to everybody's backyard in Rodriguez as well. Anyway, through many conversations with Liz and Jeff Rauder, who's also, he's not here today, but he is the Director of Infrastructure at Council and who is an amazing systems thinker, an absolute breath of fresh air. So the three of us had a lot of conversations. We put together this grant application. The focus of the grant was looking at both chronic and acute risks. So it's looking at the chronic being the everyday. How do we stop the landscape from drying out? How do we reuse water? How do we recycle water? What options have we got? Basically, everything was on the table. You know, we've got grey water, and Lisa's going to talk to you about grey water recycling. Got Andrew involved. Andrew's going to talk to you about black water recycling. We're doing stormwater harvesting. And then there's the acute risk management, working with Alan and Danny to design and further the knowledge of bushfire sprinkler systems, and working with Alan Green, who's done CF computational fluid dynamic modelling of bushfire sprinkler systems, and is going to present that later. It's pretty awesome work. So this is the harvesting system that we actually put in down here as a demonstration. The idea with this is acknowledging that a lot of the development in the mountains is ridge top development. There are a lot of dead ends. Fire comes up from the bush and onto those fingers that stick out into the bush, and we recognise that if we had a significant static water supply in many different places that RFS could simply drive up to and tap into, then they'd have 100 kilolitres or 150 kilolitres of water to fight fires at the time without having to drive away, fill up their tankers and come back. So the way the system works, it's just simply connected to the stormwater system here, as it would be anywhere else. It's shallow, it's a 900 mil deep tank. It's inside these ACO StormBrixx. So, we've got, I think, 2 layers there that are 900 mils altogether. Even though it looks like a pretty substantial structure, and it is, it's something like 95% voids ratio. In other words, we don't lose much volume because of the plastic itself. The plastic is wrapped in more plastic. So in theory, a fire truck would be able to drive up here, be able to drop a suction hose or a pump down into one of the pits and then pump away. So look, this is some slides of the system being constructed. These are the ACO tanks going in. You dig a hole, you put the plastic, we call them milk crates in the industry. We put the milk crates in there, really easy and simple to construct. It's got a welded high-density polyethylene liner around the outside which retains the water. So strength is critical. If we're going to look at putting these at the end of cul-de-sacs, they have to be pretty structurally strong. The reason I've chosen this product is because of its structural integrity and the quality, of the engineering involved. So they look at short-term loading. Can we drive a fire tanker over it? No problem. And also long-term loading. What happens? Will the plastic creep over time? There are unfortunately some systems on the market which do creep, and they can have some pretty horrific failures. This system, however, has been tested and designed for creep. So one of the other things that we are still in the process of doing is installing a bushfire sprinkler system on this building, which is quite important because this is National Park's fire control centre as well. The bushfire sprinkler system is connected to the tank, which is outside, simple pump and rising main. So after we did a building risk assessment, we've decided that we can put sprinklers on the windows. They were the main points of vulnerability. These, I have to point out, are the high-hanging fruit. The low-hanging fruit is things like sealing the building. They're the things that you would absolutely do first. This you do after you've done all of those other things. So the other things we've done with the grant, we've built a demonstration sprinkler wall, and Danny, who's sitting up the back, is going to take us through that. And then we've done the CFD modelling with Alan. Liz has also installed a rainwater tank, and to talk about building community, has organised a bulk buy of rainwater tanks. Elise is going to talk about Hydraloop, amazing greywater recycling system, and the amazing Andrew Bovis is going to talk to you about sewer mining. We think it's an absolutely huge opportunity. It's the only reliable, drought-proof source of water that we've got, really. The stormwater systems are going to help. Everything that we can do will help, but the Blackwater is going to play a critical role. And we have to find a way to navigate through that very difficult space of environmental risk, human health risk, and having a reliable water source there. The optics of Blackwater reuse are pretty extreme. We know what happened at Toowoomba. They got pretty close to Blackwater recycling, but public perception absolutely killed it. Something else Andrew's going to look at is the economics of what happens in a fire emergency. So where are the costs for the Blackheath firemen opening all the hydrants and filling up the dam? Who pays for that? Where is that cost included? Where's the cost of a helicopter taking water out of Jeff Rorter's dam, taking all of his water that he needs for his house and telling him he'll be reimbursed for it when he never was? Who pays for that? So we also worked with an expert panel, which has been awesome. Nigel Bell is a local building bushfire expert. He's recently been to the States to advise them on what to do, because believe it or not, we're actually quite a long way ahead of them. We worked with Peter Davies, who's pretty amazing academic, and of course Alan Green. So also part of the grant, we're going to be working with some retired engineers who will help come and do some of the training, as another way of building community, and they're really happy to keep their toe in and keep their brains active and to contribute in this way. So look, in conclusions, we came at this from a complete lack of knowledge. Like, how the hell do we begin to tackle this problem? It's completely overwhelming, but we've got to start somewhere, and we've chosen to look at everything and put everything on the table. And frankly, I think we will need every single tool that we can find to do the job. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution. It's not all about greywater or all about stormwater harvesting or all about Blackwater. We really need to start embracing complexity and developing integrated, robust systems that can genuinely help us build resilience.